A new report from Stats Canada says the federal government spent more than $1.6 billion in overtime pay from 2019 to 2021, but it met less than half of its performance objectives. To discuss this in more detail is the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, Franco Terrazzano, who joins us from Ottawa. Franco, our bureaucrats only met 49% of their performance targets from 2019 to 2020?
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous, especially when you factor in that overtime pay costs taxpayers about $1.6 billion since 2019. And then you factor in that the federal government has been hiring more than 15,000 new employees every single year on average. So we're wondering if the government is spending buckets of cash on overtime pay and hiring new bureaucrats, then why is it failing to meet half of its own performance objectives?
So which areas of government saw the most overtime pay?
Well, here's some notable overtime pay expenses. You had Elections Canada that spent $1.4 million in 2020, even though it wasn't an election year. You have the House of Commons and the Senate spending $13 million on overtime pay during the pandemic, even though both houses of parliament were in a hybrid virtual sitting. You have the Governor General's office spending $1.2 million since 2019. And get this, you have Fisheries and Oceans spending nearly $98 million on overtime pay during the pandemic, which is more than $20 million more than the two health departments combined. And how we have to remember all of that is on top of more than 15,000 new bureaucrats added each year, and on top of the fact that you have more than 300,000 federal employees that received at least one pay raise during the pandemic and lockdowns, but no pay cuts.
Thanks so much, Franco. That was Franco Terrazzano, the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, joining us from Ottawa.